A blind origin thrashing at the center of the universe, and the deep lore realization that everything is just its dream, leading to the irreversible collapse of all rational thought. Today, we're diving into the total breakdown of geometric cognition and the epistemological singularity triggered by dimensional observation tech. Guys, have you ever looked up at the night sky and thought about how perfectly all those stars move in their orbits? Humanity's brightest minds always believed, without a shadow of a doubt, that there had to be a great architect out there. The perfect elliptical orbits of celestial bodies, the flawless cycle of the seasons, and the massive gears of the cosmos interlocking with absolute precision. The cold glass lenses and complex equations refined by early modern scholars were proof of their unbreakable faith that this universe is just a giant, flawless clockwork, with a purposeful creator sitting right at the center of it all. But what if at that exact center, instead of some supreme intellect, there's nothing but a blind, thrashing mass of mindless energy? A handful of scholars tracking the abyss, spaces completely out of human cognition, had to watch humanity's precious sandcastle of rationalism melt away without a trace. Let's rewind time to an isolated observatory in Prague on a rainy winter night. Against the cold, damp stone walls soaking up the winter rain, the extreme black and white shadows cast by a single flickering candle carried a heavy philosophical weight. Johannes, the greatest astronomer of his time, stood under a massive, intricately crafted brass armillary sphere, glaring at his parchment with bloodshot eyes. By reverse engineering the orbits of all the planets, he finally pinpointed the exact location of the ultimate power source driving the universe, the prime mover.
This is it. Every single equation points to this exact dot. Beyond this lens, the throne of a brilliant intellect, weaving the cosmos, absolutely has to exist.
With trembling hands, Johannes aligned the massive lens of his astronomical telescope to the deepest abyss of the universe, into a pitch-black void where not even starlight could reach. The moment the lens perfectly focused and his vision cleared, what he saw wasn't some orderly clockwork. It was a massive, blind vortex that defied all physical shape, constantly distorting and spreading like boiling black ink, and clumping together at impossible, non-Euclidean angles, way beyond human comprehension. There was zero direction, zero purpose, and zero intelligence in the movements of that overwhelming mass. Just a mindlessly throbbing, mechanical pulsation, twisting and crushing space-time itself. At that exact moment, a single drop of black ink fell from the quill Johannes was holding and bled into the parchment. The Euclidean orbits, drawn with flawless, brass-like precision, started to creepily melt away, bleeding out like a watercolor painting left out in a thunderstorm. The precise lines were swallowed by the pitch-black ink, losing their shape and distorting completely. All the laws of physics and math that humanity had painstakingly built up turned into absolute gibberish in the face of that distant, churning abyss.
No, this is wrong. The math cannot be wrong. The center, the very center of the universe, is rejecting the math.
Johannes's desperate screams just echoed emptily against the cold stone walls. Now, we need to cross-reference this with the records of a seeker who wandered, the ancient, brutal, unknown desert known as the Empty Quarter. His name was Abdul al-Hazred, the man who penned the Al-Azif, the foundational text for the philosophically terrifying Necronomicon. Deep in the desert, in an unnamed ancient ruin, Abdul al-Hazred synced up with the center of the universe, not with a telescope, but with his sheer consciousness. According to his records, he detected an unknown frequency leaking from the flip side of the night sky. And it wasn't some visual, physical monster.
It is neither light nor the voice of a creator. It is simply the breathless panting of a blind, idiot god, vibrating and twisting space itself.
Abdul al-Hazred's records expose the profound, deep lore that pierces the very core of cosmic horror. The massive chaos sitting at the center of the universe, Azathoth. This phenomenological entity, existing completely outside our cognition, is, right at this very moment, fast asleep. That's right. The shining stars you're looking at, this planet called Earth, the glorious history we've built, human reason, the motion, and even the physical laws of the universe itself, they are all just a meaningless, fleeting illusion. A dream being dreamt by that blind, mindless origin in its sleep. The origin of all things isn't intelligence, it's the unconscious. The universe isn't a precise clockwork, it's an uncontrollable delusion. And the deep lore in the text takes it one step further. Surrounding the throne of Azathoth, formless, unknown entities are endlessly dancing. They're generating a constant frequency, which the recorders metaphorically called the resonating sound of the abyss. And the purpose of this monotonous, heavy wave is entirely singular. It's a lullaby. It's constantly tuning the expansion and contraction frequencies of the universe just to keep Azathoth asleep. Think about it. What if that cosmic wave stopped for even a single second? The moment the blind origin opens its eyes, what happens to this universe? It doesn't explode. It doesn't burn up. Just like a dream vanishes without a trace when the dreamer wakes up, this entire dimension we exist in will undergo a total, irreversible wipe, as if it never existed in the first place. Let's go back to that damp observatory in Prague. Johannes, having taken a direct hit from this massive wave's interference through his telescope, experiences a cosmic-scale vertigo where his own ego is literally being dismantled. My heartbeat, my breathing, my brainwaves, the primal sensation of being forcibly synced to the mindless pulsation of that unimaginably distant center. Confronted with the overwhelming truth that he's not an actual living being, but just a fleeting afterimage of proteins flashing through some entity's mind. No human intellect is built to survive that.
We are not the children of a creator. We are nothing but a fleeting illusion, vomited out by a blind idiot.
The concept of the human individual irreversibly vanishes, leaving only the cold despair of being reduced to a single, pointless gear in a massive system of absolute meaninglessness. Even the grand epics of humanity, our great civilizations, flashes of reason, love, and war, they're all nothing but a shallow sigh unconsciously exhaled by this blind chaos. This was the exact moment the ontological foundation of rationalism, so carefully built by humanity, evaporated without a trace. The most absolute intellectual collapse. That flimsy yardstick of reason we were holding on to so tightly was just a single drop of dew falling into that massive ocean of black ink, bleeding out into nothing. After all the epics fall silent, the story of this blind origin drags us up to the empty judgment seat of modern religious studies and philosophical nihilism. The universe isn't hostile toward us. This chilling realization that it is completely, blindly indifferent is the absolute peak of existential philosophy. Honestly, maybe the massive data algorithms that we've handed all our control over to, and the purposeless, infinite hypergrowth of capitalism, are just a modern mirror image of that blind pulsation thrashing at the center of the universe. Humanity's desperate, tearful struggle to find meaning is, at the end of the day, nothing more than a microscopic bubble briefly popping on the surface of a massive ocean of absolute meaninglessness. This ancient epic is coldly spelling it out for us. All right, now shall we bring this magnificent cosmic horror to the table of modern astrophysics? You're telling me something is pulsating right in the middle of a singularity packed with infinite mass, and it's somehow generating waves that sound like a flute. This is a paradox on a scale that completely nukes not only the laws of thermodynamics, but the basic premises of quantum mechanics. If sound waves actually manage to travel through a vacuum and get observed as physical waves, not only would the observer's eardrums instantly shatter, but that entire star system would undergo an irreversible collapse. That's just basic physics. But hey, what can you do? Because if you start trying to fact-check mythology with math equations, you're just going to give yourself a headache, right? This is exactly why the romantic metaphors and intellectual kidnappings by humanities professors are the most philosophical things in the world. I was perfectly happy just crunching numbers as a hardcore STEM major, man.